So what do you think of this no chairs thing? Huh? Is it just a gimmick? Where's Dan? Where's Dan Mothersell? It was his idea. We did this in Madrid and we thought it was great, so we wanted to do it again. And my distinguished panelists here today, we're going to introduce ourselves maybe just a little bit more thoroughly in a second. But the idea behind no chairs, oh geez, I'm making too big a deal out of this, is by standing we thought we could interrupt each other, be a little bit more interactive. I suppose our other goal for this session is, I just found out a minute ago, they gave us an hour. I said, an hour? Oh, that's a lot of time. So I'm going to have to go to the audience early and often for your war story. So don't be surprised when there's a lull up here. I'm going to reach out to you, huh? Okay. So Brian was rehearsing us. We had a telephone call just a week ago, and the first thing he said was, can you keep it positive? Still thinking about that. But he says, I think we'll talk about our bumps and bruises, so what we've learned in the past few years. And so that's what we're going to be sharing. Maybe just a little bit more about myself here. I'm an angel investor since 1999. I sold my company. I told you about the closing party. I went right into angel investing after that. I joined a group, Charlotte Angel Partners in Charlotte, North Carolina, where Bank of America is headquartered. Big bank. I was dealing with local securities people there. I wrote software for Wall Street. So they were starting an angel group. They said, Frank, why don't you come on down, be a part of this? So I was a founding member of Charlotte Angel Partners. And as I said already, I had just sold my company. I was able to invest heavily just before the internet bubble burst. So I got my feet wet nicely there. Since that time, I've been a member of the Tech Coast Angels. We're a large angel group in Los Angeles. We've got 250 members, and we've invested $100 million of our own money in 160 portfolio companies. Huh? So that's a big deal, and lots of great experiences there. And as I became a member and started observing what was going on in Los Angeles with Tech Coast Angels, I said, wow, these are some great stories. These entrepreneurs that come in and get funded, there's a lot of drama here. So I started the Frank Peters Show, where I interview the entrepreneurs who just got funded, many of my fellow angels, and the local venture capitalists too. So remember I said it's a little audience participation is what we're looking for. Here, I've got my first example. Play along with me here. How many people have ever been to the Frank Peters Show? Well, I've got a lot of room to grow my audience. That's terrific. That's terrific. Well, I'm going to turn it over to my panelists for each of them to give an introduction. Can I start with you, Mike?
Sure. Thanks, Frank. I started off as a University of Waterloo graduate, and myself and 3 classmates started a video display company back in the 70s. And we built that up over a number of years. In 1981, when we heard that IBM was coming out with the desktop computer, we knew that it was time to make a basic shift in our company, and so we merged with 6 other companies. So you can imagine 7 entrepreneurs all working together, and if that isn't a war story in itself, figuring out how to run a company. And we went public at the same time on the Toronto Stock Exchange, which gave us an almost immediate exit. So I took that exit, and since 1981, I've been doing angel investing. I've invested in over 100 different companies, both personally and through a couple of funds that I can tell you more about. In the late 80s, I moved to Vancouver, British Columbia, to run the BC Advanced Systems Institute, at which again I was really doing angel investing. That was the most expensive move in my life, because when I moved from Waterloo to Vancouver, I gave up a 15% equity interest in Research in Motion. And who would have known in 1987 that RIM, which was basically just a little R&D shop located above a 7-Eleven in a strip mall, would ever become as successful as it has become. So on one hand, I regret that move. On the other hand, it's been a very interesting learning experience. So in Vancouver, and now under the umbrella of Simon Fraser University, I continue with angel investing, running a few incubators. I have 2 angel funds. The newest one is actually focused on green energy, and it's going to be a public fund because I believe that it's time for us to look at ways that we angels can get more of the general investing public into our deals. Our securities regulations don't allow that, and that I think is a big challenge for us because I think if we can open the doors, we'd see 10 times as much capital flowing into tech startups. So I'm trying this as an experiment with this new fund, and actually I just got word that we filed on CDAR yesterday. We've got a week to go where things have to clear. We're closing next week, and we'll be up trading before the end of the month. So hopefully I can attract many of you into that. The good thing about that is, of course, that you don't have to wait a long time for liquidity. That's the nice thing about a public company you don't like. You can sell instantly, or conversely, you can buy if you like what's happening. So that's a little bit about myself, and I'll turn it over to Permjot.
Hello, Permjot Valia. It's a very strange experience actually being here because my first exposure to Canada was exactly a year ago when I was at the National Angel Conference in Halifax. And since then I've been to Halifax a lot of time, and the people of Halifax have been very, very kind. And First Angel Network, who are very well represented here today, they've accepted me as a member. And I actually just did in the last year, I did my first Canadian investment, which has only actually concluded about a week ago. And it's a company called Adventus, who happen to be out here today. So if you do get a chance to see them, please do. But that's the kind of company I've just invested in. Personally, I've done about 23 investments, all of them other than Adventus in the UK. I started angel investing by accident. The last job I held was I was a sales marketing director at Ernst & Young, and looking after entrepreneurial services. And actually running the Entrepreneur of the Year program gave me great first-hand interactions with entrepreneurs, and finding out what worked, what didn't work, and sitting on the selection panel in terms of who was the winner. And that experience led me to start working with more and more entrepreneurs, and then actually had a bit of money and started investing. The problem I had, which I think I mentioned last year, was it was even more scary to learn from Basil Peter's excellent presentation this morning that only 1.5% of angels actually managed to exit. My very first angel investment IPO'd within 7 months of me investing. So I made a lot of money, but I learned all the wrong lessons because I just thought angel investing was very, very easy.
You were an investing genius, obviously.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's exactly what I thought. That was sadly the conclusion I reached. And you'll be pleased to know that since then I've done my best to catch up with the average. And I'm succeeding. But I've hopefully learned a lot of lessons in the first 4 years of my investing. I probably did about 18 companies. In the last 3 years, I've only done about 4. So this year, I've only done 2 investments. One being Adventus, and one being a company in the UK in the new creative space. So that's me. I've also got a fund management business in the UK called Flight and Partners Limited. What we do is we actually buy distressed businesses. So it's quite the other spectrum. And I've obviously been a good customer to the fund with my businesses. And what we do is we buy distressed companies and we turn them around. So that's me, and I look forward to sharing the war stories.